Well, let's talk about the wounded womb, Dr. Phil Valentine, because you know for a fact, and probably just talking to different women, that the average woman, whether she's black or white, is not connected to her womb. And she doesn't understand how important her womb is and how her womb is like a sponge. It absorbs. So the multiple partners, you know what I mean, the multiple abortions and these things like that, it tears down the womb. And then you wonder why, you know, you have to get a hysterectomy, or you wonder why you can't get pregnant, because your womb have all of these different sexual demons in it from your past relationships, because women don't know to go and purge themselves out and go through a fasting and a healing process to get these entities out of them. They don't know. So they just jump from relationship to relationship. And the same thing with the man, because now he's bringing spiritual demons to the woman that he goes into. So it's going both ways. But I'm just saying the woman right tonight, because we're speaking on the womb. But this goes for the man and the woman listeners. Don't think I'm just targeting the woman. And they don't understand it. They don't see the importance of that. So kind of like shed some light on that, because I'm seeing women in their 30s getting hysterectomy, Dr. Valentine.
I've seen them in their 20s. And it's been a horrendous thing. Yeah, this was a plague. Back in the 1990s, a hysterectomy was what the doctors ordered, especially in the black community. And black women were getting more cesareans. Black women were getting, as far as that is concerned, in the national average, proportional to the number of people in demographics. They were getting at least 5 to 6 times more abortions in the black community than in the white communities. So what you're looking at are what it is that has been marginalized. Our thinking, as far as black women, also women in general, have been marginalized to come out of that spiritual space, that place of peace in their minds that would give them access to that silent voice that speaks to them from within. And the problem is that they are so busy now doing men's things and pursuing men's careers, dealing with men's world and acting and being like men, that that voice is no longer heard or even want to be accessed. And so the book that I wrote was for them to reacquaint themselves with that inner voice, because all I am doing is essentially speaking or translating what that voice is saying. And when they do what they do, and when certain things are overlooked regarding femininity, rites of passage, certain behavioral modalities that the great-grandmothers passed down. And I want to say this. I'm not saying this because I think I know more. Understand that when I did my book and the research, I wasn't doing researches in any books. I went and sat at the feet of my great-grandmothers, the grandmothers and granddaunts. My godmother was Olatunji, Baba Olatunji's wife. And she used to speak to me about the different cultural perspectives that women had. Women have a lot of power as women, but they're seeking power as men now, which in giving up that power, they gave up that power they had that actually was the true power. And what they're doing now is turning so-called matriarchal power into a weapon rather than it being the one that actually disarms us, disarms men of their passion. They've now caused men to come up in arms. Men don't want to be with women anymore today because of what it is that society has allowed women to get away with. And the problem is now that since they have been corralled into that behavioral behavioral bubble, now that Trump is in the office, they're left out in the cold because he's coming back with a vengeance. And every time a society gets matriarchally saturated, they automatically go completely in the opposite into a kind of a fascist type of mentality. And what has happened is feminism has now caused a male backlash. And you're going to see it happen over the next 5 to 10 years. You're going to see now that women, you're going to have a lot of women out here who's not going to get the same jobs anymore that they were actually fighting for under the Obama, under Hillary Clinton, which were feminists and more fascist and socialist. These people, these white folks that's coming out here now with Trump with their banner, they're going to stop all of this. They're cutting funds to everything that has actually allowed feminism to actually root out families, to force women, real women. I'm not saying all women are like this. I'm saying the real women who want to be women. They have actually waged war against them. They have caused them to feel guilty if they don't do the things that they say they have to do as women today. So real women are suffering just like the men were suffering as well. So what's happening now is the backlash. You're going to start seeing men not wanting to get married, not wanting to have any real steady relationships. And if they do have the relationships, they can jump from one partner to the next because there's no trusting anymore. In the beginning, during the 1990s, when feminism was on the rise from the 1980s into what we call gender feminism or Amazonian feminism, the psychopolitical warfare was to get women to distrust men. And that's exactly what happened. They have really put out everything on the TV. It was all about how men were this, macho this, and so forth. Now, going into 2000, women are doing the very same things that they were arguing about men. And the very same things that men were doing, that they say men were doing, they're doing now. And so that's putting men off. And now from that particular point of view, women are no longer seen as someone that you would pursue, want to set up with a family, especially the women here in America. There's thousands of men are just leaving America and going and finding women in so-called third world countries. You know, they say, well, that's because they're dumb and they're stupid. Men are threatened by strong women. There's no such thing as a strong woman. And what's a strong woman? A woman that acts like a man? A strong woman is a belligerent one, a woman that doesn't listen, a woman that doesn't want to hear any kind of advice that she doesn't think is what this is the kind of thing that they've equated with strong women. Strong women is a belligerent woman, one who is argumentative. That's what they call strong. Strong women I knew in my life when I was coming up were the ones that were actually having babies. You know, my grandmother, I was sitting in the kitchen with my grandmother helping a woman to deliver a baby when I was living in Trinidad as I was growing up. I see my grandmother delivering babies on the kitchen table, clear it off, and had dinner on it the same night. That's the kind of life that I lead when I watch real strong women, women who held down the house, women who actually created food, cooked. Not only that, grew food. And was out there sewing. They said that these are, women were made to believe that these were somehow slave labor. That, we got you in the kitchen barefoot and pregnant. What? So all those years that women were taught not to be women, the foundation of the home, the one that kept the home in equilibrium and in peace, they no longer wanted that. So families no longer meant anything under this liberation, this so-called feminist liberation. So I know I'm going on, but you're right.
No,
a woman's womb is no longer listened to. Yeah, a woman's womb is not listened to anymore. She no longer listens to what her womb says. Her womb says not to go out there and throw yourself so that you're falling on your belly when you're playing the volleyball. And I mean, these women go prostrate and bang themselves. The womb is very precious. Those eggs are floating on a very gossamer environment. And women today are so hardened now that the children they have coming out of wombs that have been overemphasizing masculine traits, they don't see it that later on down the line the genetics are going to show up in their grandchildren. They don't understand what they're doing to their bodies is affecting the future. And those who have what I call agendas to destroy or to cause genocide amongst the people, those who have that agenda are doing their very best, their level best, to make sure that women no longer take on the role of being real women. You see, black women from let's say up to from 1972, I believe, till 1990 something, 4 million abortions in the black community. That means 4 million children. I forgot the actual date or the timeline, but it means there's 4 million black children were aborted in this country. And that's because of what feminism did. And again, that the way that they destroyed the society and took away the masculine head of the family. And of course, women don't want to hear that anymore. They don't want to hear that the man is the head of the household. They, well, we're partners. Well, there can't be two leaders anyway. Imagine they have two generals giving orders to an army. What the heck does that mean?
Right.
Two generals are over there saying, you do this. No, you do this. There has to be a kind of an order that I grew up in. When my father was the last person, after he assessed the situation, my mother gave all of the variables. She said, here's why this would work, here's why this would work, blah, blah, blah. He'd take it and he says, okay, this is what I see, and that's how we went. And the house ran smoothly. There was no problems in the house like that. Of course, there were arguments. There were all these different, but there was a working order. We don't have that anymore. And the men, our boys are being raised by our mothers. Women who wanted freedom and liberation now are working twice as hard. They're getting the diseases that men used to get in droves now because they wanted to do the things that men do, or they were forced into that particular arena. In fact, the very word career, my sister, the word career, the etymology of the word career is combat. So there you go. Women have been put on the front lines, and they have put into the working place so that they can actually participate in combat, what men do.
Mhm. And women are taking on a lot of men jobs like construction, you name it, they doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We won't have that very long. I mean, when America changes the gender equation and tells you that there are over 200 different gender models now with about 100 different sexual orientations, that means that somebody is trying to confuse the generations to come so that they don't do anything that constructs a society or has a steady foundation in the society. And there's a template. There's a plan to everything, you see. And that template for family is a father, a mother, and raising the children. That they took that completely out of the equation, and then everything went hog ass wild. And that's exactly where we are right now. And everybody's saying, well, nobody's married. Yes, black people are marrying. But then how long are those marriages staying together? Yeah.
Right, 3-4 months, they're divorced already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then they're following these clowns that the society has now put up as their gurus and their priests. These entertainers that okay, what is Nicki Minaj going to say now, and what did she do to blah blah blah? Why would you even care? That person is making bank on your completely misguided attention to her nonsense.
Right,
and this
right.
is the kind of thing, why are you even worried about, what the Kardashians are doing? Who are these clowns that you feel that you must now take your precious attention and give it to? Because, remember they used to say pay attention. So every time you give attention to something, you're paying them something. And you're paying them with your life. You're paying them with the cost of your own mind. Come on. Yeah.
Giving your energy to the wrong people.
Yeah. It's not really giving it. They're sucking it out of you.
Right, exactly.